We run out there, and I'm trying to grab him to make sure he don't punch nobody. Right? Go to jail.
They punch you.
People, but people feel like that we're fighting. And when that happens, the stands go, whoo.
Hi, I'm Corey Baldwin.
And I'm Daniel Bowles. We're back with a new Off the Beaten Path, a podcast for basketball coaches living in obscurity, working in obscurity, even those who have made it out of obscurity.
It's a place for storytelling, learning, connecting, reconnecting, food for thought and food for the belly. And we even have some of the stories we tell are true. Okay, we've got two great guests here on the day. We've got the Arrington brothers. They're basketball coaches through and through. And we're going to learn a little more about their path today. And we want to welcome those two guys here today. Welcome, guys.
Hey, guys. Glad to be here.
Good deal.
Glad to be here. Thank you for having us.
Well, who's the oldest out of you two?
That would be me.
All right. Well, we'll let Keith go first then. We got to always take care of our younger brother. All right. Start us off, Coach. Tell us a little bit about where you started, how you got into coaching, and we'll just kind of jump back and forth with Donnie as well.
Well, I guess I've kind of been in every different situation you can imagine. I guess we both got into coaching a lot because of our father, Billy Arrington, and I started out at Briarwood Academy, a little small private school in Thompson, Georgia. And then, of course, Wheeler County years, and Savannah for 4 years, and Atlanta for 10 years, and now I'm retired and in South Carolina at T.O. Hanna for however long I want to do it, I guess. So kind of every situation, demographic, type of school there is, I've probably been there.
That's awesome. What about you, Donnie? Give us the walkthrough of your path real quick.
Well, I'm actually older, but have coached less because my original degree is in business management. And I guess my brother's last year at Georgia College playing, they said he'd be a better coach than a player, maybe. I'm not sure how that went, but he started helping as a student assistant at Georgia College as I was working. And then when I decided, hey, look, I'm going to call it, post-grad certification, non-degree certification, that would give me, a leg up on getting jobs. And so he was doing that. And then I followed him, I guess, 81 or so. So a lot of my time I've been in Toombs County, Lyons area. But then, recently I was at Effingham for 6. I was at Jeff Davis finishing up 4. And now I'm a do boy for my guy in Waycross. I'm not sure. But, similar. Most for me is smaller schools except for Effingham. Mm-hmm. So a little bit larger school.
Well, kind of the neat thing for both you guys, you mentioned your dad really liking ball, not being able to get into it because of, his dad being passed. So when he was a young age, so he kind of had to always work and that. Both of you kind of had paths a little different. You played, Keith, and got into coaching, and Donnie, you went and worked in blue light specials. Maybe something you took from your dad. What's one thing you still use that maybe he taught you guys that you use in coaching?
I don't know. I think the love of the game more than anything. I remember him taking us to ball games and going to Macon Coliseum, and we'd go to New A Wieners and eat a hot dog. And then go to the games, and just his love of basketball and being around it, and just the love of the game. And and I got a picture. I still have not blown it up. I've got a picture of him shooting a jump shot. And he's definitely a better shooter than me, and probably better than Donnie too. So just the love of the game and the way he shot the ball and all, I think is what I've taken a lot from him.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Donnie?
Same thing, love of the game, but he, some things he would tell me and do. One thing kind of stood out. Well, a couple of things. He said, look, if you can't make a shot 7 out of 10 times unguarded, you shouldn't take that shot. And I've told kids that more than one time. And then you get into nuances of shooting. Whether you're shooting behind the rim, front of the rim, whatever. And he always just say, see it going through the net, through the whole basket. And that was something that was kind of a weird thing that stuck with me. That joker was cutthroat playing horse. I mean, like he's trying to cut your heart out. So as we got older and we were close to beating him playing horse or knockout or something, if you had like 3 or 4 letters on him, he would go to a left-handed bank shot to beat you. So it was never any of that touchy-feely, we're going to let you win. I don't remember him ever letting us, ever winning. Maybe when we got much, much older, but it was never any of this, I'm going to hurt your psyche or make you feel better and all that stuff. It was like, you either win or you lose. And, so.
Now, guys, y'all have coached all over Georgia, small town, Savannah, Atlanta. What would you guys say is different about just different areas of Georgia with high school basketball and, whether it's, the kids, the parents, whatever it is, what would you guys say is different just all over the state?
I will say, each place is different in how what the community expects and how they love basketball and those kinds of things. I know Wheeler County was a different spot in that like we had 300 kids in high school, but boy, that community loved basketball. They loved it. And, we would play like McRae, play Telfair. And if the game started at 7 o'clock, it was sold out at 5. With people banging on the door to come in. 10 miles into a lot of enthusiasm for it. And I still say up until very recently with Vassell, the best player I ever coached was Bryant Pound from Wheeler County. And a kid probably nobody's ever heard of. He went to junior college and then Auburn Montgomery and played. And man, that kid could play. But, it's not a lot different, how you coach kids. I just don't think it is.
I hadn't been in as many different places. Most of mine have been around in this area. Effingham was a little bit different in that you had people moving in from Savannah and coming out, and there's a little bit bigger school. We were 5A when we were 6 was the biggest. And kids were a little bit more affluent. Parents were a little bit more affluent. And most of the places I've been at, the expectations, at least to start off with for basketball, were very low. I tended to take bad jobs and hope to try to make them better. And even Effingham, I think the year before I got there, we'd won 6 games. And so, my athletic director at my interview said, look, if you're coming here to win championships, you're coming in the wrong place. So, that was my AD saying that. And he wasn't a big basketball guy, but so the expectations were never anything. Now, by the end of it, expectations were high, but they didn't start out that way.
Now both of y'all have coached some very good players, obviously. Keith, you're obviously, your recent one was that are lottery picks. Walk us through a little bit of that with Vassell. Is that how you say his last name, Vassell?
Sale. He's very unusual in that he's not this kid that at a young age you said, oh my God, he's going to be this, this, and this. When he, and I didn't even remember this, he actually went to Collins Hill in middle school and got cut in middle school. Got cut. Wow. So that's why he transferred to Peachtree Ridge. And I didn't even remember that. I knew it, but had kind of forgotten it. Mm-hmm. And even as a 9th grader, you look at him, you say, well, he's a good little player. He might be able to play college ball somewhere. But he was just this little small wormy kid. And then even his sophomore year, he played JV and varsity. He wasn't just strictly a varsity guy. And he had some big games, on the varsity. But he was still playing some of both. And then his junior year, at the end of the year, he really came on strong, had a great junior year. And that the spring of his junior year playing AAU, he had a great spring, and he had maybe a couple of lower level D1 offers. I think it was North Florida and Stetson and PC. I can't remember exactly. He had like 3 low level offers. And I give Florida State and CY credit for this. He walks in, and his AAU guy kind of talked him into coming, and I had been talking to him some. They come and watch us. They're just our kids are playing. And within about 30 minutes, he calls him over there and they offer him. CY offers him, calls Hamilton on the phone. Look, I'm offering this kid. Then after that, I think Texas Tech may have offered him, maybe somebody else. But within a week's time, Vassell says, hey, I want to go to Florida State. I'm good. So we shut it down, and it's over. It's over like just immediately.
Man,
He's a kid that worked really hard. He was never, and when he committed to Florida State, everybody in Atlanta said, oh, he can't play there. He can't play there. He'll be transferring. And hey, look, you're probably going to get redshirted because you're going to have to go get in that weight room. He's a thinner kid. And he immediately bought into the weight room and started lifting and getting stronger. And he's still not a real thick kid, but he's gotten a lot stronger. But nobody believed he was going to be able to play at Florida State. Well, and they probably were talking about redshirting him. But by the end of the year, if he wasn't starting, he was in the top 8. He hits that shot against, I guess it was Virginia Tech in the ACC tournament. In his sophomore year, he's their best player, and now he's a 11 pick in the draft. It's almost like surreal and how quickly it went from being a nobody to a somebody. We know how it is in Atlanta. I know Daniel knows. Look to transfer. I mean, he stayed with his little AAU team, the Tornadoes. He stayed with Peachtree Ridge. When as soon as he commits to Florida State, we got everybody, I'm not going to call names, but Daniel will know names. They're all trying to recruit him. And he stayed with us and, of course, stayed with the Tornadoes. And he's just an example of a kid being loyal and working hard and doing things the right way. And there he is. Now, I talked to, and I don't mean to ramble on this, but I talked to probably 2/3 of the NBA called me. What I told them about is they all ask character questions. They weren't asking me a ton of, hey, kid, what kind of player is it? They wanted to know about his history, what kind of character, what kind of work ethic, that kind of thing was really the emphasis. And I told them, I said, if I had a daughter, I'd be happy if that kid married my daughter. So, I mean, it speaks highly as to what kind of fella he is, what kind of man he is. And he'll be a great asset to the Spurs basketball wise and otherwise.
Awesome. What about you, Donnie? You coached a couple of guys your last year at Effingham, and then of course you had a kid that just signed with Murray State from Jeff Davis, freshman this year. Walk us through some of those guys and those journeys a little bit.
Probably at Effingham, the best 2 kids, there were a couple other kids that were good players, but Jakeem and Gant, really good player, 6'8", and signed at Missouri, didn't work out there and transferred to Louisiana College. And Jay Wright, the year before, Jay did not have a Division I offer at all. Was being recruited by Georgia Southwestern, and felt like that he could play higher than that, and thought he was a Division I player. And then when Southwestern got wind that he was kind of, maybe not as certain about going, they pulled. Hey, look, I'll consider JUCO. Middle Georgia was still JUCO at that time. Started talking about them. And Josh Dees, who had played for me, was an assistant at Southern Idaho, Southwestern Idaho, I can't remember. And said, look, he had just finished coaching, and placed him at Casper Junior College. So he goes to Casper 1 year as a player of the year in that league, and he's got maybe 12, 15 Division I offers from there. So those 2 guys, and then Jeff Davis, best player certainly has ever come out of there, Jaquez Kirby, who is a freshman at Murray State.
And you coach NFL guys as well, right?
Yeah, at Toombs, we had a bunch of, Division I football players. We had a D1 big time SEC, ACC football player every year. And those guys always played basketball. So, we won our league in 98. And we had a couple of guys, two guys that ended up being millionaires. Nick Eason was first team All-State in basketball and baseball, 6'4", 210, but he ends up being a defensive end at Clemson. He played AAU for my brother when he was at Wheeler County. He was one of our good players. And then we also had a kid on that team. We had a 5'11", and this is what you can do in AA basketball, but we had a 5'11" post player. Those are our two post players. Vince Faison, who had signed as a defensive back at the University of Georgia, but was also a great baseball player and was like first round 17th pick by the Padres and 1.2 million, something like that. So he played pro baseball, but he was a good, very athletic, 5'11" kid. He could dunk it with two hands, really springy. So we had some good players that probably could have played at some level basketball. Vince probably couldn't because he was just too small. Small town, good athletes for sure.
So guys, so I've scouted, I scouted at the Savannah Civic Center years ago, Savannah Beach. I've coached South Cobb, McEachern games, coached Brookwood Parkview games. For you guys throughout your career, what's the best rivalry or the most fun rivalry games that you guys have coached?
Well, I mean, surely the Peachtree Ridge and Collinsville was, it was pretty exciting. I mean, I know one game we had the track full, all the seats were full, and we've had some great games with Collinsville, some fun games with Collinsville. I know one time we went 4 overtimes. I guess Peachtree Ridge and Collinsville has got to be it.
All right. What about you, Donnie?
Toombs County Vidalia is just a good rivalry. So we had good basketball games, but during that time, Vidalia is different now. But for a rivalry probably to be any good, you've got to, both teams have got to be kind of tit for tat a little bit. And to be honest, the people around here won't like it, but they really didn't beat us very much in the 13 years that we were that I was at Toombs. So I won't make any friends with that from Vidalia. That's where we're living now. But we beat them. I think they might have beaten us 3 or 4 times in 13 years. So even though it was a big rivalry between the schools, it was not as much of a rivalry, between basketball. And at Effingham, the same thing with us in South Effingham. They were not very good. So it was a big game, and there was a lot of people there because it was a county game, but they never beat us. Statesboro High School was our big rivalry at Effingham, Lee Hill. And we were friends, close friends. And, and we, when I first came there and we were trying to kind of get moving, we couldn't beat them. That was probably the biggest rivalry, where, there's a little give and take, and you got to play well every night, that kind of thing.
Where's the best place you guys have ever coached at, like an opposing arena or gym, as far as the crowd goes? And then as far
as being toughest?
Yeah, the crowd, crowd really on you, tough place to play because of the crowd. And then give me one that's a tough place to play because it was probably the worst gym you ever been in.
Well, this has happened in South Georgia some, and I don't know, Daniel being in Atlanta, but, in South Georgia, you've had all these old gyms that were built back in the 50s. Mm-hmm. And several spots were horrible to play in, where people were sitting in their lap saying very unkind things to you, maybe some of the things, hyphenated kind of things. I've had some good teams at Toombs, and we never won at Jenkins County, Millen, Georgia. Now, just took good teams in there. You would dress in a bathroom, about the size of your bathroom at home, and they were going to throw stuff at you. and you're going to have to get a police escort out every time when you left there, and they're going to probably throw rocks at you every time.
Donnie, I'll add,
that?
I'll add to that. I coached a kid from there, and I'll never forget it. The signing, the high school coach I knew from, he was a South Side of Atlanta guy like myself.
Yeah.
And I said, you know, how is this town? And he goes, well, let me just tell you how poor it is. He goes, the whole county, I think the richest people in the county are the teachers.
No doubt.
I said, man, I don't know if I've ever heard that said anywhere else.
But you know, and this is predating both of you guys, but Jenkins County is one of those places that's similar to Wheeler. I don't know about now, but back in the day, they had a Division I basketball player every year.
They used to.
Yeah, Anthony Sherrod, I think, and he played at Georgia Tech, and he might have committed suicide, so that's a bad thing. They had him, had a guy, Willie Burton, that played at Tennessee, another one, Titus Dock, that signed at Nebraska. So, I mean, they were big and good. And even one of those years we played them, they were 1-3-1 and playing single A basketball, and they're 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", with just really big and long and good. So
now, Donnie, I'm a little disappointed you did not mention Denmark Tech as one of the worst gyms. I'm a little disappointed because you did travel with us to Denmark Tech last year.
I thought I was going back in the twilight zone.
It was rough. Never seen dorms. I've never seen dorms with bars on them. That was the first time I'd ever seen that.
No, they had bars on them, and some of the windows were knocked down. I thought, is this a prison or is this a gym?
And then my favorite story on that one is we played them 3 or 4 years in a row there. We always bring our own push broom to the floor. The floors are so rough.
It's bad.
Keith, before I kill Denmark anymore, I might have to play them again. They're gonna really take it out on me now. Why don't you give us some?
Well, in that very same area, Orangeburg Wilkinson is a pretty tough place to go play. When I was at North Augusta, we went there. Probably the funnest place I've ever coached at. We went to the Arby's Classic in Bristol, Tennessee, and it has its old high school gym, 6,000 people. And they would have, for the night games in that tournament, they'd have 6,000 people.
Well, here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to go through the lightning round. We kind of sort of did that right then, but we're going to ask some questions and let y'all answer them. And kind of, they'll be a little bit quicker, I guess, so we can cover more stuff. I know Donnie don't want to brag, but I think we decided it was about 1,500 wins, wasn't it, Donnie? A little more than 1,500 or a little more than 1,600, I think we
decided. Not that many. He's 1,200, 1,300, something like that.
Yeah, I'll go with 1,500. I'm gonna give y'all some extra ones right there.
You're like, Kiwi, what was his name? I don't want to disparage anybody. God, it was at George Walton back in the day.
Ron Bradley.
JV wins.
Ron Bradley.
Yeah. He's counting JV wins and stuff.
Coach girls, guys, JV, summer league.
That was the rumor.
Now, guys, I should know this, but have you guys ever played each other?
Oh my gosh, I was afraid that was going to come up.
Oh yeah, you talk about it.
All right, so we were actually in the same sub-region one year, not region, sub-region, 5 teams, 6 teams. I'm at Toombs, he's at Wheeler. One of the years we went down to Class A. So the first game at our place, we scored. We're up late. It's a real defensive battle, CB. You'll like this. We were up 90-87, I believe.
Wow.
Okay, playing high school basketball. So we're blowing and going. And they get the ball last possession and take a last second 3, or not last second, but a late 3. Misses it, and the official kind of semi-toots his whistle. I mean, he kind of chokes it off like he doesn't really believe it, but it's too doggone late to go back. Now, I may lie some. I'm trying not to, but it's an official that's still doing it a little bit. But my brother had some issues with him, I think, previously. And they did not like each other much. So, but the way it is right now, they're going to go to the line, no time on the clock, shoot 3 free throws with a chance to tie the game up, right?
Mhm.
Well, our folks are going nuts and really hammering the officials, you know, there was no foul or whatever. Well, he succumbs to pressure. And all of a sudden waves it off. Game over. So we win by 3.
Only
Well,
below the mat line. Only below the
yeah.
mat line.
So I've seen that look in his eyes before when we were fighting for like a chicken leg or something, though. But he's fixing to punch him. And I'm, you know, my recollection may be different from his, but we run out there and I'm trying to grab him to make sure he don't punch nobody. Right? Go to jail.
So he punches you?
People, yeah, but people feel like that we're fighting. And when that happens, the stands go, woo. And just kids, I think one of our kids might have popped one of their kids to start off with right after that. And boy, all hell broke loose. I'm talking about there's people from the stands, there's people, I don't know, there may be 30, 40 people fighting out on the gym floor.
Oh my goodness.
It's,
That might be one of the best stories ever. Was that before or
Way
after Thanksgiving?
way bad. Like the next day it's on Georgia Network News.
Did anybody ever let y'all tell the story that you wasn't fighting, or did it go, or is the story going to be ever in stone that y'all fought?
Yeah, it didn't make any difference at that point. It kind of took on a life of its own. And so their kids had to go to the hospital and stuff from the fight. So the next time we got to go to Wheeler. We got to go over there. And our folks aren't wanting to go because they're going to get ambushed. He's already told you Wheeler loves basketball. We're both pretty good. And I think we play like at 4 o'clock in the afternoon with no fans. There's more state patrolmen in the building than there are people. So
That might be the best story I've heard this week.
Hey, so here's how dumb he is. So when I'm thinking about leaving Effingham, he calls me up. He said, the Collins Hill job is open. You got to interview. You got to take that job. He's already told you that Collins Hill and Peachtree Ridge are huge rivals. I was like, are you crazy?
He was setting you up. He was setting you up. That foul call. He was setting you up.
He was. We've already almost killed each other one time before, and I mean it was kind of chippy for a long time after, so now you want me to go and jump 4 miles away from you and do it again?
That is awesome. That is awesome. Is your story a little different, Keith, or very similar?
Well, it's basically the same. Here's a little couple of other things that part of it. At the time, my wife and I had just been married. And at the time, she used to come to all our games. She sat right behind the bench. So not only did Donnie try to stop me from getting after the official, she tried to stop me from getting after the official. And I kind of didn't have that either. So it was kind of cold feelings towards me all over within my own house and everywhere. So now here's a side part of the story. So that official shows up in the region tournament. We're playing Glenn Academy and Kwame Brown's brother. And I thought that he was just going to kill us, but he ended up, I got every call that night. Every call. One of the few times I've ever said that in my life. I got everything that was doubtful, I got. So I guess it bounced back my way in the end of it.
Well, that kind of leads me to my next question for you guys. I'll start with you, Keith. What's the most memorable win and that you've had as a coach, and what's the one that loss that you have that still kind of turns you sideways anytime you think about it?
Well, the one, and I was telling this the other day, we're going to play Norcross when they had like 6 D1 players. We had 3 Division I players transfer out the summer before this. Now, we still ended up having a good team. I think we made it to the Elite 8 or maybe it was Sweet 16. I can't remember. So we had a good team, but they didn't look like they were great. So we go play them, and we're fixing to beat them. We're playing at home. And we have a 3-point lead They go down and call timeout, and we got a foul to give. There's only like 6 seconds left. We got a foul to give. So I tell them, it's all right, guys, timeout. They're going to inbound the ball, reach in and foul them. Then they're going to do it again, and we're going to foul them again. They're going to shoot free throws. We're going to box out and get it, and game's going to be over. Well, they inbound it, hand it off to a guy, what's his name, Sturdivant, that's at Georgia Tech. He raises up, hits a three, ties it up. And it just goes to show you kids don't really understand when you say you got a foul to give and all this stuff. But we ended up losing that game, and I was just like, how do we lose this game kind of deal? I guess that's the one that bothers me the most. You know, like most coaches, you don't remember the ones, the fun wins.
I guess too that from winning standpoint, winning the league with Jeff Davis at last year, with Vidalia and Swainsboro both being really good in the region, and Jeff Davis, my first year we were 4-22, and then fourth year we won the league, was a lot of fun, and had some good guys for sure. Beat Jenkins out of Savannah for the region championship when I was at Effingham. Probably the only time I felt like we had a chance to win the whole thing. Definitely the worst one was losing to Gainesville in semis at Effingham. We're up by 2. They foul us late, 20 seconds to go, and foul a kid who had a bad shoulder. There was a defender, and missed both free throws. And I guess it's Todd Cottrell. We did a good job on Deshaun Watson, and they had a wing that went to North Georgia, and we did a good job on them. Point guard just broke us down and didn't help, didn't get in gaps, and they ended up beating us. I guess we were up by 1 then. We had the 2 free throws. Anyway, they made a last-second shot to beat us. So I wasn't sure if we could beat Miller Grove in the finals because that was kind of in the middle of their run, but I wanted to have a chance to try.
All right, guys, if y'all had to describe your coaching style, I know I've coached against Keith and seen how hard his teams play. But for you guys, like as being just brothers, but still coaching different, what would you guys say? How are y'all similar or different in your coaching style with the way you guys are?
Both gonna play man to man, pretty much exclusively. I think I'm more gap oriented, pack line principle similar to CB. I know Keeby still overplays on the wing, and we stopped doing that for a period of time. But playing hard, whatever, is definitely a similarity. Keeby, what would you say?
But I am more of a denial kind of guy. We are still trying to get into gaps and help. We use the terminology, don't get split. But we do want to get into pass lane some because I think it helps us a little bit offensively, get some layups and that kind of thing. Offensively, I've always been it just kind of varied with the personnel and that kind of thing. At one time, I was very much a motion guy, but that I started thinking that's not very democratic. It's too democratic for me. And, you need to get your best players the most shots. So we started running more set plays and things and ball screen. I used to be do a lot of traps, but, a lot of times you play against these good guards and that's not too smart. They'll start just, zipping by you and laying it up. And that just, something you can't do against great players, I don't think.
All right. Well, we always on this show, we ask some food questions, mainly so I can take some notes and have some places to go eat. These are for both of y'all here as we start winding this thing down. Give me your favorite barbecue place. Y'all been in a lot of hole in the wall cities, and even Atlanta up there has some off the beaten path. So give us your favorite barbecue place, and you may have to do 2 because I know you can't just name one sometimes. Go ahead, Donnie.
Speak first before he says something blasphemous that I'm gonna have to be mad at him about. But the best barbecue places in our home county is Purvis's Barbecue. That used to be in Wadley, Georgia, and now is right outside Louisville. Mm-hmm. It's vinegar base, got a lot of cayenne pepper in it, and a good kick. Now, my dad used to say this, and my brother's going to say this too in just a second. but he thinks he's a master griller.
Mhm.
He said the blasphemy that his barbecue is better than Purvis's, which would be a terrible thing to say. But Purvis's for me is number one.
Mm. What about you, Keith? Other than your own cooked barbecue?
Well, mine is the best. Now I'm the best, but Jim and Nick's barbecue, I miss it in Atlanta a lot. And it's a chain. It's in, I think it's in Hilton Head, some different spots and all, but Jim and Nick's is very good. I like Jim and Nick's, and everything at Jim and Nick's is good. It's a good spot to eat. Neil's Barbecue in Thompson, Georgia. I used to go there on Thursday night. They'd start selling at 12 midnight, and I'd be there at 12 midnight when I was a young man, just starting in my early 20s and eating there.
Well, look, we're going to close this thing out. I really appreciate you guys being on. We're going to give y'all, one last closing statement. If there's anything you just wanted to say, I know we didn't talk any about FCA. If you want to throw something in there about that.
Well, I'm getting an opportunity to work with you still, and you can let me hang around. That's a lot of fun, and doing the FCA stuff and getting to go, internationally to Brazil and do that. And, watching those kids over there has been a lot of fun for me too. And I'll always enjoy basketball and looking at, the X's and O's and different things, and, kind of just seeing what different people are doing. So it's always been fun for me. It's always been something that my brother and I could kind of share, in coaching. We could always talk about it and talk about things. And it's been important. He and I were always growing up best friends. I know sometimes brothers don't get that, but we're only 20 months apart. So, that was important for us. We roomed together in college for the last couple of years, and a lot of brothers don't do that. So, we were close, and it was important. So, basketball has been an important part of our life for a long, long time.
And Keith is now at TL Hanna, which is where radio,
Yep.
That was his high school. And he was telling us before we got on that he had just passed away a year ago, and
Yep.
he had gotten to be friends with him, and how much love radio had for that high school. I
Yep.
wanted to share that with people that watch our show. Donnie, man, we really appreciate you being on here. I've enjoyed my time. I can remember recruiting some of your guys I've coached. Been lucky enough to coach 3 of the guys you coached at South Effingham. And they were all great players for me, and great people. And man, I've always enjoyed our friendship. You used to come over a lot when we would do some of the coaching clinics, and you helping us out now has been a cool thing.
I appreciate it a lot. It's been a lot of fun.
I have 2 coach whisperers that have been on my staff. I took two elder spokesmen with Coach Walden and Coach Arrington, and it's nice to have guys like that. You can kind of talk about scenarios because they've seen it all, done it all. With his kid getting drafted 11th after not making the 8th grade team. How awesome is that story?
Crazy.
And we just really appreciate it. You want to close us out, Bowles, and get us out of here on a Friday?
I would say Keith was the ultimate measuring stick game, just because you knew how tough they were. And, it was always fun to play. Well, not always fun to play against him, but it was always good. Good to play. So I'll take us out of here. But thank you, Donnie, for being on.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Guys, you can also keep up with our podcast on social media. Instagram is @offbeatenpathpodcast, and Twitter is @offbeatenpath_. Thanks for listening to our OBP podcast.
Hey, and we're a show for those who want to coach, those who used to coach, those who are coaches, those who follow coaches, and those who hire and fire coaches. If you're involved with the coaching world, especially if you're not in those glamorous places, then you want to be here and hear how you can either get there or survive while you're not there. All right, man. Appreciate you listening.